Welcome to the KJ&J podcast, your source for all things sports through the lens of faith and family. Thanks for listening.
What's up, guys? I'm Joel.
My name's KJ.
And this is the KJ&J podcast. Today, we are going to talk about parenting your kid through youth sports. And so obviously, I'm the parent. KJ is going to be speaking from his perspective as a young man who has had parents parent him through this, both my wife and myself. And so I'm going to hear from his perspective on what it's been like. I'm going to talk about what we failed at, what I think we've done well in, and then areas that we want to continue to grow in. I think many parents just kind of assume that their kid is the problem when there's frustration in sports and performance. I think, would you say that I've been honest with you when when I've been the problem?
Yeah.
Okay. And so I think I didn't want to just say that and assume, but I think that's one of the things we realized early on was like, there were times where I lost my temper with KJ and I said, hey, like that was on me. Like I was the problem there. That was not on you. And so I want to just have an honest conversation, let parents hear from a child. And maybe this will also voice for some kids who aren't able to put into words how certain actions can make them feel or certain responses can make them feel. This might be an avenue to start those conversations with your own children. KJ, I just want to, before we get into like details, I just want to kind of give you the floor and ask, what are things that you would say we've done pretty well in supporting you? First, like, how long have you been playing sports? About 6-7 years?
5 years.
Yeah, maybe more than that. You were playing at 4 in flag football. So he's probably been playing 7-8 years in a variety of sports. We've done different roles, different levels of competition, different levels of travel. It's been a while. What would you say through those years are things that we've done well?
Y'all did well with supporting me. That was one of the better things. Then,
what do you mean by supporting you? Explain that.
Like being there for me when it's the good times and the bad, always there. And
chauffeuring you by support too. I mean, your mom takes you to many practices and things, or myself as well. But just kind of being present and involved. Don't try not to miss a game unless I'm out of the country for something or out of town, and that's pretty rare.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, supporting you. What else?
And then y'all do a good job of keeping me accountable. So like if I'm like not doing my training or my physical therapy, y'all will keep me on that. I'm trying to get better about doing that myself. That's a big factor. Helps me a lot.
All right, so supporting you, holding you accountable. Those are two pretty big things. Is there anything else you would add to that? And it's fine if not. Just curious.
Like with you coaching me?
Not necessarily, just as a parent. I mean, obviously coaching can be a part of supporting you, right? Being involved. If there's a need for the team to have a coach, then that might be a part of it. But we'll do that another episode. So mainly just from the parenting perspective.
Yeah. I would say that's about all the big things. And then taking me to practice, which is like big, y'all. Always, rarely miss a game for anything unless it's like something big or like another sport activity with my other siblings. But I'd say that's about good things. Yeah.
Cool. So, okay, what are some things you would say we've struggled at? And I want you to be honest because I want other people to hear from you. I want to hear from you, obviously, and it can be stuff we've talked about before, but what are some things we've struggled in or maybe failed at in the past as a parent?
Maybe like sometimes you'll yell at me from the stands. Mom will do that too sometimes, but...
I'm probably the worst, let's just be clear.
Yeah.
Mom is much more encouraging when she yells from the stands.
Yeah.
One time I told him this year he was mentally weak in the middle of a game, and it might have been true, but it doesn't mean that I should have said it that way and how I said it, for sure. I would say, too, I think we do probably put pressure on you sometimes to perform. I don't think we want to, but there can be maybe a difference in mood between if you've had a good game or a bad game. Now, I feel like if the effort's there, we're normally not that concerned with it. but it might still, can you sense difference in mood? Or are you kind of in your own head so much that you're not really even paying attention?
There's sometimes, but if I have like a really bad game, I'm probably in my head a lot. But I can sense mood sometimes, but not much.
Well, we're probably more aware of our failures than he is, which is probably good. I would say some things I've struggled with is my own baggage and emotions during the game as I'm involved. As a parent, you sense things like you know what your kid can do. And so if they don't perform or do that as well as you know they can, the good way to say this is, oh, we just want people to know how well our kid can play. The reality probably is we want the credit and the glory from how well our kid performs. And so when they don't do that, we're losing out on that. And so we might add to that pressure. We're afraid that another coach might think KJ's not as good as people say he is, or that, man, who is that kid? Why is he playing in this position? If he made an error, if he gets frustrated and gets hurt in football, it's like, oh, he's not tough. And so we'll put that pressure on our kids. And really that's our own baggage and emotion, our own fear of failure, our own fear of not being accepted. I know even you said something this week, he's kind of been struggling at the plate in baseball. And this week was probably maybe worst tournament all year, I would think. And so we were talking about it and he got a little emotional and you said you didn't want to embarrass us, I think is the way you said it. Is that the way you said it? Yeah. And so tell me a little bit more about that and where you think that, well, what do you mean exactly by that?
I mean, like, kind of like, if I, like, play bad, I don't want y'all to, like, because other people might think I play bad and y'all might, like, not want them to think that. Yeah. And they might think that y'all are bad parents or whatever about, like, me playing bad.
And do you think that's true, that we're bad parents just because you play bad? No. So that would be a lie that we are believing in the moment, and we want to process where that's coming from. And ultimately, as Christians, we believe we give that to God and trust him with that, and he can begin to change our hearts. We believe the truth, which is we're your parents no matter what. And if we're embarrassed with you, whose fault is that?
Y'all's.
Yeah, it's kind of on us, right? Like, and there's a verse that says God is not ashamed to be called our God, that Jesus is not ashamed to be called our brother, which is fascinating to me. I don't know if you've ever been embarrassed of one of your siblings. Maybe when you get older, that might happen. Like if one of your siblings does something in front of a crowd and you're just like, oh my gosh, that was a little cringy. That was a little embarrassing, right? Jesus doesn't feel that way about us at all, which is crazy because we do pretty embarrassing things as humans, right? Like we do stuff all the time, both intentionally and unintentionally. So the concept of God not being ashamed to be our God really has helped me grow as a parent. And the fact that no matter what, I should have no embarrassment that you're my son. Even if you do fail, even if you are bad, even if you make like big mistakes, at the end of the day, you're my son. And that's what we got to talk about. And really through tears, just talking about, KJ, like we are not embarrassed of you. And if we ever are, that's on us, right? I do think that's something we've grown in. I recognize this year, 8U year, we were playing football. There was a practice where they had kind of picked up a new kid that was getting some reps at quarterback, which was the position KJ played. And I remember that practice. I was on KJ. I mean, every little thing he did wrong. You probably remember this. I'm chewing you. I was out at Wilson Morgan, those old soccer fields where we used to practice. I'm chewing him out, and I get in the car, and I'm just like, what was going on? And I spent some time processing it, and what I realized was I was extra hard on him. It wasn't just holding him accountable. It was over the top. I was extra hard on him when there was new people watching because I knew they were forming their first impressions and their opinions of KJ. And by default, me. And that really helped me understand. I remember apologizing to him and saying, hey, that was on me. Like, it's okay holding your son accountable. Hey, you weren't giving effort, whatever. That's not what I mean. But I can tell where it's coming from, if it's me coming from anger or my own embarrassment. And so that's just something that I think I've grown in. I still feel it come up. Like if you're on a new team or there's a new kid that joins the team, but not near as much as I used to. I've kind of now like, hey, if someone views KJ negatively purely based through his sports performance, that's their problem. You know what I mean? Like, if really that's all someone is how well they perform on the field, that's actually really sad if that's the way we view people. And we do that with athletes all the time. I've become more sensitive to this now that KJ has more of a following, is the way people talk about guys like, say, a Bo Nix, who, you know, maybe they don't like him for whatever reason. Like, they don't know Bo Nix. They can just get it on a comment thread and assume someone is a better or worse human based on how well they performed in a sport, in a game, you know? So that's something I think we've grown in for sure. I think I've grown in just enjoying watching you compete. Like, we can be so focused on the results. And this is something I think you're just now starting to grow in and catch, is like, enjoy the moment. Like, you're there. It is a lot of stress, a lot of pressure for an 11, 12-year-old to be out there playing baseball, fans, all this stuff. Man, you don't get to back out now. Like, just enjoy the moment. You know, like, I get to be out here. Yeah, maybe it's hot, sweaty, and we've been out here all day playing travel baseball, and that's the season we're in, so that's what we're talking about. But football, whatever, hey, it's a tough game, and we're not moving the ball really well. Like, man, we get to play this game. Why not enjoy it? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think I've grown in that. Yeah. Would you say that's something you're, if you're not growing in, like, are you at least aware that you'd like to grow in? Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me how you think you might enjoy the game more if you're able to just settle in versus feeling so much pressure to perform.
So if I'm like feeling so much pressure to perform, I might be more timid or more scared, and it's just going to make me worse. And then if I am like more like, I'm in the moment, let's just do it and have fun, then first of all, I'll probably have more fun, and I won't be as scared or timid. I'll just be able to let loose. And worst case, if I do strike out or whatever, don't matter.
Yeah, and you enjoy the moment. Like, at the end of the day, it's, you know, you're playing a game, and so continue to get better. That's something we think is very important. Man, I think that is something also we've done well in the last couple of years as KJ has gotten older, is helping you process like your emotions, like not just being like, oh, that was a tough game, like deal with it. And there are times where I say, hey, like, you could probably finish this sentence. It's okay to cry, but
suck it up, deal with it.
Dang, that wasn't what I was going to say. But it's okay to cry, but not right now, or not about that. Yeah, it's all good. I have said suck it up and deal with it. So that's not coming out of nowhere. That's great. But I say a lot, it's okay to cry, but not about that. Meaning like, hey, like, we can cry, we can have emotions, but not like, this is something that is in this moment maybe isn't worth crying about. Or maybe you just need to save it for an hour or two later when we're in the car and we're able to talk about it. Like, you have a team that needs you right now. And so there are times where it's like, hey, we need to kind of deal with it in this moment. But we also need to be able to have those times to process those emotions, because they're coming from somewhere. And I believe most emotions come from what we believe. And so if we believe that, like, in that moment, for example, where it's hot and sweaty and we're hurt and we just hate this and this is going to be miserable and it's going to be like this forever versus maybe 30 more minutes, we're going to have a different attitude and a different approach. If we feel like people are judging us based on our performance, then we're going to respond accordingly. So I think we've helped you process your emotions. A cool story. Tell them a little bit about the situation against, it was against Top Tier. It was in Huntsville where you got crossed up, and maybe just tell them what happened in that moment. And I'm going to lead that into another question in just a second.
So I gave my pitcher sign of curveball, and he threw it. It was like right middle, so I thought it was going to drop. So, because it was a curveball. So I went down to my blocking position, and it never dropped and hit me straight in the forearm. So that hurt real bad. And then the Top Tier coach, because the umpire called it a strike, because it was a strike, but I thought it was going to be in the dirt because it was a curve, because I called it a curveball. He called it a strike, but the top tier coach was really mad because I went into a blocking position.
So he thought it went in the dirt. He ended
yeah.
up getting thrown out. We're not throwing him under the bus, but it was just all that happened at once. I'm watching from the sideline. I'm like, what just happened? Did he get hurt? Is he mad? Because also after that, you did block it, even though it just hit you straight at the forearm. He didn't even know it getting crossed up men at the time, but he had called for a curveball, threw a fastball, mix up, whatever, no big deal. He also got up and tried to throw the runner out at second, threw it a little bit high. So I don't know if he was frustrated at whatever. But after the game, I'm like asking him, hey, what happened in that moment? Because I could tell he was frustrated. Do you remember what you told me?
I think I said it was like embarrassing or whatever.
Yeah, he said, like, honestly, I was just embarrassed, which I thought, and he did get a little hurt. He had a bruise. Like, he also maybe was a little bit frustrated. He thought he had kind of made the mistake, and later we were able to go back and realize what happened. But I thought it was very self-aware of you to realize that in that moment, you were feeling primarily just embarrassment. And what's crazy is, like, hardly anyone else knew what happened. Like, I don't think anybody really even blamed him. And so I feel like that's where just an area of growth that I think we've done, and you've continued to grow in and allow us to continue to help you process like what you feel in those moments. Because that's just self-awareness, which leads to mental toughness, which we talk about. To be able to say, like, really, I'm just embarrassed. I'm not actually as hurt as I am embarrassed. So I'm not going to pretend that I'm more hurt than I am. Like, maybe I'm hurt, but I'm also embarrassed. So I think that's cool. Are there any other times where like you've really processed your emotions, or like as you think through, or is that kind of the main one?
There probably is, but I can't like think of them off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, for sure. How does processing those emotions help you?
It helps me because like I can say what I feel out loud, and sometimes I'll just be like, I don't know, but like I don't really think about it. So, and then it helps me just like know what I felt at the time and why I felt it.
That's good. And it allows us to get to the root of those beliefs.
Yeah.
Right. Because like him saying out loud, like, I don't want you guys to be embarrassed of me. I don't want to let my coach down. Like, he knows in his head that his coach is for him, that his parents are for him. But his heart, what he believes is telling him, hey, like them being behind you is based on you performing or being good enough or smart enough or talented enough or athletic enough. And so it's in these moments that we get to find those beliefs and ultimately pray about them, surrender them to God and be like, all right, God, like we need your help in this belief. Because it's the enemy that wants us to believe those things, that wants us to believe we're alone, that wants us to believe that our value comes from how well we perform or our batting average or our completion percentage or whatever. And so these are things that we're working to continue to grow on, and we try to help them in. Some things I want to continue to grow on is like, man, something I'm wrestling through right now a lot, and he can tell you this, is like the balance between holding him accountable but also like driving him to be what I want him to be instead of what he's called to be or what he wants to be. And so maybe what are ways that we've talked about that kind of like accountability and stuff, and how has that maybe helped you understand what we're talking about?
So like,
well, let me ask you this. Do you want me to hold you accountable?
Yes.
And so then the question becomes how much, how often, because the reality is like, I think it's easy to say, hey, you need to be accountable for yourself. And that is true. That's growing, maturing as a young man. But also we all need help. Like most people who, not everybody, but a lot of people who go to the gym regularly have someone they go with, right? You have team practices for a reason. You work out. Would you say you like working out better with the teammate or with the friend than just by yourself?
Yeah, friend.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Not as much me, but a friend, right? And that's good because I can go over the top sometimes. But we had a good conversation recently about that. And I think what I found as a parent is instead of just holding them accountable, because so often we call it holding them accountable when we're really driving them to be something that we want them to be, right? I do love sports. I've obviously invested and helped you and inspired you to get into sports. But at the end of the day, if KJ decides he wants to do drama or something else, I hope that I'm going to support him in it and hold him accountable in those ways as well. And it's been a shift for me because early on in his sports journey, I could actually coach you. Now he's getting to a point where I'm like, I don't know. You need to go ask coach, and all I'm going to do is hold you accountable. Ask them how many swings you need to take a week. Ask them, what drills you need to be doing. And then you need to go write that down, remember that, and then I'll be there to help hold you accountable as necessary, right? But I can't physically be as present maybe as I used to. So has that been going okay? I feel like it has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So like recently we talked about this with baseball. It's like how much he's playing at a pretty high level. And so he's facing tough pitching. Baseball's not a sport. We'll do an episode someday about specialization and how early you should train and specialize in one sport, but that's not KJ. So he comes into the season almost fresh every year, sometimes with less reps and less experience. And so he's been struggling, not defensively because he's athletic and so he's fine, but hitting, it's just like we're going to have to put in the work, and how much do you want to do that? And so there's some things where a lot of it's mental, I think. There's some things we're working on now and holding them accountable. Just last night in the yard, this gets into sports psychology a little bit, but he's been struggling at the plate, getting really nervous. And so what did we do last night? The main thing is live pitching, right? It's not in a cage, whatever. There's mechanical things we want to fix, but he can make good solid contact. When it comes to a game, he's struggling with pitch selection, timing, all this stuff that's really primarily nerves. So tell him what we did yesterday to try to help simulate some live pitching.
So, yeah, my dad bought these balls that, you can still, you can throw hard, but when they hit you, they won't hurt that bad.
Yeah, so they're softer foam baseballs. So that's been part of the problem is I don't want to hit them if I'm pitching to them live or someone else is. So go ahead.
So, yeah, so he can pitch fast and not worry about hitting me, because if he does, it's not that big of a deal.
And I can throw a nasty curve with these. I normally can't.
Curves are nasty. But, so, yeah, we got to the backyard and we did some live at-bats, and he put some AirPods in my ears on, and I listened to Game Changer. So I thought I was actually at the game and not in the backyard.
So we played the feed from the games this weekend, so yeah.
And he gave me a situation, a nervous situation, bottom of the sixth,
We only play 6 innings, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 outs, bases loaded, down by 1, you're 0 for 4 on the day. And Coach Link says, hey, we really need you here. And then everybody's chanting, nobody better, you got this, KJ. And then we just do it. And it's and if he fails, I say out loud what I know his inner voice critic is saying, which is, you suck. You're there you go again, swinging at a bad pitch. Even in the middle of the at-bat, because if you swing at one bad pitch, should you allow that to affect your next pitch? No, but it probably is right now, right? And so then he's, he lets a good one go by, and then he's swinging at a crap one, or he swings at a crap one, and then he lets a good one go by, and it's just all this, it's all this mental stuff. That was just kind of a trick to do, and it was kind of fun, and I could tell afterwards we had succeeded because he started tearing up, which it was from pure nervous emotion and relief that it was over, which tells me that he was primarily operating out of fear of failure versus opportunity for success. And then we went and said, all right, let's do one more at bat. And we said, we're going to approach this opportunity for success. And he fouled one pitch, next one drove for probably what would have been a game-winning double or whatever in our situation. And it's which one of those did you enjoy more?
Last one.
Yeah.
I did, yeah.
And I really don't think it was just because of the result. If you had just gave the best at bat you could and happened to strike out he threw a good pitch or called a bad call, you still would have enjoyed that more than being nervous the whole time and then barely getting a base hit and be finally, I just got out of that situation. Instead of oh my gosh, that's what I was enjoying. And so we'll talk more about sports psychology and positive, negative thinking, neutral thinking, all that at some point. But that's something I'm trying to grow in. And I say all that to say, parents, when you're going to hold your son or daughter accountable, make sure, first of all, it's coming from the right place, that it's not coming from your own emotions and you just wanting to have them be good enough so you're not embarrassed of them next time they're out there. And then second of all, what I would say is have that conversation on the front end. Do you want me to hold you accountable? And how do you want me to hold you accountable? Do you want me to hold you accountable 3 days a week, 5 days a week, 4 days a week? What do you want that to look like? What's that time frame? One thing that's helpful, and we don't always stick to it, I'll be honest, but we'll set a timer and be like, and I feel like we did when we were doing quarterback training. He's like, hey, let's set a timer for 20 minutes. Just go throw in the yard. Whatever we get done is what we get done. And he agrees to it on the front end. We're done. It's not this never-ending thing, which is what he worries about. He's like, I want to get back to playing MLB The Show or, Madden or whatever, and it takes my night away. But he's also learning, hey, it's okay to do 15 minutes of something a night or 30 minutes of something a day. I don't have to have 5 hours straight of nothing to do to get rest. You know what I mean? Mental reps. That's something he told me. I said, look, man, we did end up getting out of the yard yesterday, but he had a long weekend catching in the heat, body sore. It's like, hey, take some mental reps. Lay in bed and just put yourself in the situation. And were you nervous?
Yeah. Got myself nervous because I was putting myself in a situation. My heart started beating quicker, and I was like, oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And tell me, how are you more, when you agree with me on the front end, that I should be holding you accountable and we should be working, does that go better than when I just show up one day and like, hey, let's go throw in the yard for 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Helps a lot.
And I also think, like, KJ, tell me, I think this might be good for parents and kids to hear. I think on social media, if people just saw KJ, his account, they'd probably think he's working out 4 hours a day. He just can't wait to get on the grind. He just loves to put in the work. And I think that's what a lot of people want to portray their kids as. And there might be some kids out there that are built different that are. But I kind of agree with Amon-Ra St. Brown's dad, which said there's no lazy kids, there's only lazy parents. He said nobody 8, 9, 10 years old wants to go work. Now, he's probably a little, maybe overboard, I don't know. But it was like, his point is, it's not whether you always want to. And he recognized that. I asked him yesterday, do you want to go? And he said, I don't want to. And that's what I told him, just be honest. But I know I need to, and it'd be good for me. Just like anybody, as an adult, I don't always want to go to work. I don't always want to do things, but we have responsibilities. And so you don't always want to do it, right? And so tell them maybe a little bit about how you manage that, where it's like, yeah, sometimes I enjoy getting out there, especially if it's a friend or whatever, but I don't always enjoy it. What would you say to other kids that maybe really enjoy their time on Fortnite or whatever, but also are in these activities and they're growing older and they want to maybe play? And for you, the next level is middle school. They want to play in middle school, make the middle school team. What would you say that's going to take?
I would say, put in the work even when you don't want to. You don't want to, but it'll be good for you, so do it. And if you always like, if you're always like, I don't want to, so I'm not going to do it, and just keep playing Fortnite, whatever you're going to play, that's not going to get you anywhere. Fortnite's not going to help you play on the middle school team. So
unless it's an esports team and you want to play Fortnite, then go play Fortnite.
Yeah. Even if you don't want to do it, if you want to get better and be on the middle school team or whatever team you're trying to be on, you're going to have to put in the work. So.
Yeah. And be okay with people. Parents are one of the best people to hold you accountable at a youth sports age. When you get into middle school and you've got workouts and things during the day, that will come some from those coaches. And so, but having the conversation on the front end helps a lot, right? One thing he really likes is we just look at our week. Kind of the next couple of weeks, we say, hey, what's going on this week? Now, he's also learned to be flexible, right? He's like my wife in the sense that when she's got plans, she doesn't like them changing. I'm like ADHD, fly by the seat of my pants, change the plans, I don't care. And so I have to grow in not just changing plans because I feel like it, but if there's something that comes up, he grows in, hey, your practice got moved today, and so we're going to go hit today instead of tomorrow like we were supposed to. And your attitude in that has to be what?
You might not want to do it, but go put in the work. You're not going to be able to get out of it now, so just go do the best you can.
Yeah. And he agreed on the front end that I could hold him accountable in that. So, yeah, that's all good stuff. So, yeah, just parenting, I would say overall, man, I think we can say sports overall has been a largely positive experience.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
And so as parents, as kids, I think it's been a sacrifice in a lot of things, a lot of time, money, effort on our part, on his part. But man, like it's learned a lot of lessons. I've learned a lot about myself as a parent through it. And I just want to tell you, like, you are a joy to support. You know, you do give effort. You do the little things right. I'm hard on him a lot, but when I am able to there's moments where I get to step back and get a glimpse as if I was just an observant. I wasn't your dad and I didn't know all these things. And I'm like, man, that's a tough kid. That's a mentally tough kid. That's a coachable kid, a good teammate, gives good effort. Some of the most exciting things about me have been when I've seen him pick up teammates. I've seen you pick up teammates when they're down. Someone just sent me a picture. I don't even told you this from Saturday when you're catching and it's hot. And I think it was the first game you had. It was actually on Sunday. And a mom sent me a picture and said, hey, I don't even know what KJ said to my son. And it was a picture of y'all sitting up there in the fence. And she said, I'll actually show you.
Was it Ty's mom?
Yeah. So she said,
I remember that.
Yeah, and just said, hey, I don't even know what KJ said, but I know it was exactly what he needed to hear. And so those are the things that will go way beyond your sports career, whatever that looks like. Those are the things that matter to me. When he got Student of the Year recently, and they said that he was kind and created an inclusive environment, that meant a lot to me because that means you're living out the values of God's kingdom. Because the values of man's kingdom is get everything you can, be selfish, everything's about you and how much praise and glory you can get. And so I just want to say thank you for that. And you've grown as you're growing into a young man, continue to do those things. And then what would you say to me as a parent that you're grateful for? And your mom as well.
Yeah, I'm grateful that y'all keep me accountable a lot. I enjoy that. And I hope y'all keep doing that for me. I really enjoy y'all. I'm grateful for y'all supporting me and setting me up for success in my sports.
Well, it's been fun. We'll do this again.
Yeah.
A couple weeks. We'll see you guys. I hope this has been helpful. Maybe you've learned some things, maybe not. But either way, keep listening, liking, sharing. We're grateful to be a part. If you got ideas for future episodes you'd like us to talk about, please feel free to comment, leave those in our comments, and we'd love to get back with those and maybe plan future episodes, or you got guests you want us to try to have on. Love to try to do all that, whatever we can to help y'all out. So that was good. Love you.
Love you.